Hi! Today I'm going to show you how you can connect your apps created in WeWeb with your database in a Baserow account. Now, Baserow is a no-code database that's easy to use and has a fair pricing. I'm going to show you how to connect one of our pre-made forms, which is a template that I'm going to post the link down in the description. And as soon as you click on Use Template, you're going to be able to copy this entire project to your own workspace. And I'm going to show you how you can grab the information from here and send it to your own database inside of Baserow. All right, so let's get started. First of all, let me give you a quick tour of this form. Right now, it just has some plain fields like name, email, request type. Here you're able to basically create your own options, right? So you can come here, options, and in here you're gonna be able to input your own choices. We also created a personalized phone number input where you're able to choose your country number here. And also this entire form has validation. So as soon as you click here, it's going to ask you to fill everything correctly. So that's perfect for our forms. And again, since this is a pre-made template, you can grab whatever you have here and modify it and improve it in whatever way you like. But what I want to show you today is how to connect it with the backend. So the first thing that we need to do is go to our plugins. And here we have a lot of easy connections to other data sources like Supabase, Xano, and Airtable. But today, since we want to connect with Baserow and we don't have a direct connection, we're going to need to use our REST API. So let's click here and add it as a plugin. So I'm going to go to my form container, right? This is the right place to make this call. And here in workflows, we already have a submit workflow. Right now, here we have an action for submit this form data that's not doing anything. It's just like showing this information. And what we want to do is we actually want to call the REST API request, and we want to send it to our Baserow. Now, how do we do that? Every tool is going to have their own documentation on this, teaching you how to do this correctly. Now for Baserow, I went ahead and I created a table with a couple of columns that are going to be the exact same ones that we have here. And here we can see all of that information, even the file, which I'm going to touch later on. So what I'm going to be doing is I want to create a row, right? So I want to create a new line in my database. And in here, there's going to have an entire explanation on how you're supposed to do this. And they show you the exact call that you need to do. So I'm going to just copy this one here. Since we are here in a REST API request, let's just paste our URL here, which I already had. And we need to add our headers, which is very important. You're going to need to create in our settings here, you need to create a token. Click here, copy the token. We need to create these headers with a key and a value. And for the value, we need to write token, and then right after that, we need to paste our entire token. And in here, we need to write authorization. Now, a quick comment before we move forward. In this tutorial, I'm showing you how to make a REST API request that is actually not very secure, because we're sharing our authentication token in our header, and that's not the best way to do things. Now, for this tutorial, it's not going to be that much of a deal, because this is just a simple table. And one step that we need to take in order to make it a little bit more secure is to make sure that we're allowing actions inside that authorization token. Now, for this one, since we're going to be grabbing information from our app and bringing it into Baserow, I just want to allow the create one. So I'm just going to untoggle the read, the update, and delete. And you also need to take into consideration that if you have more tables and more spaces, you're going to be able to untoggle them here. Now, what's the correct way to do this? The correct way to do this is to make this call through our backend. So you can either use an intermediate service, like a third-party service like Zapier, NA10, or Make, that's going to be serving as your server, or you can use a more robust backend for your entire app, like Supabase or Xano. Those of two, which you actually have a native integration, and you're not going to have the same issue that I'm describing. All right, back to the tutorial. Let's try and see if this is working, if the request is actually reaching our Baserow. Let's test it here and let's watch our left. Yeah, There we have it. Now we're having an API returning the information that we asked. We didn't ask for much, but we properly created our connection. For creating a new row, we're gonna need first to check here, use field names, and this is the information that we want. So we want company name, phone, email. As an example, I'm going to show you the first one, and the rest you're going to be able to do it yourself. Company name, here in fields, key, company name, and the value, I'm going to grab it from my form, company name. And we're going to be able to check it here. Let's say Google, here in the value, this is the one I'm going to be passing. Let's test it. And we have a success. We'll go back to our row, and here we have it, Google. Now you're going to repeat it for every single column that you want updated in your row. Now, in order to do the file upload, which is this one here, that's going to be grabbing the file from our file upload element, we're going to need to do a different step, an additional step. We're going to need to create another API request. So on top of the first one we created, which I'm going to call it send form data, we're going to create a new REST API that's going to be send file. Now, once again, I'm going to be basing myself in the documentation, and in here we have a file upload that's showing me which URL I should send, and which is this one. Also, it is telling me that I shouldn't send the content type as default. I should choose multipart form data. Also, for headers, we're going to need to repeat the key and value par for authorization. And for fields, we just need to input file. And for the value, we're going to grab the value from our input file, right? So here we have it, file upload, and this entire object. This is what we're going to be sending. All right, let's check to see if this step works. Beautiful. So now we have uploaded our file directly to our Baserow account. And now what we need to do is we need to grab that file and input it into the new row that we want to create. So in here, send form data step, we're going to create a new key and value. This one is going to be for the file, since it's the name of the column that we have here, which I actually think it's, yeah, file. And here in the value, we're going to be able to grab our result from our previous action. So the results from here, send file. And what we need to grab is the name, which is this big string here. And now what we're going to do, refresh, and we should, let's fill this form. Let's clear this and see if this works. Yeah, it worked. Perfect. Here we can see that our request was a success. So we should go here, and here we have it, Google, everything's filled, and we also have a file. So it worked. That's amazing. Now, this is just a short tutorial showing you how to connect Baserow with one of our templates. And the beauty of WeWeb is that you're able to do it with any data source that you like. So in previous tutorials, I showed you how to connect Supabase, Xano, and Airtable. And today I showed you how you can use your REST API to connect basically anything on the internet. All right, so I hope this was really useful, and I can't wait to see what you're going to build next. Happy building!